Good morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the weekly collective energies and how we can best individually navigate them. And that feels very pertinent right now, that it's one thing to look at the collective energies, but if we don't examine our own individual vibration and how to best align with the higher outcome of what is going on this week, it feels like there's quite a bit of conflict there for us in regard to our environment. So I felt very undecided this morning whether or not to do a video. Now the reason I felt undecided is I'm journeying with the Minor Arcana still. It feels like it's been going on forever. And I'm on the suit of the Wands, and today I'm on the Five of Wands. And for those that know the tarot, the Five of Wands, there's no good or bad in any tarot card. They have both sides, light and dark. But this morning I could really feel my own interpretation of the Five of Wands being conflict, agitation, energetic upheaval. That's what I felt in my emotions. And it's no surprise, actually, because that does depict my environment. That is where I'm at right now, that halfway turning point, make or break transition type energy. And yesterday with the equinox, again, we have that balance, don't we? We have the balance of the light and the dark, particularly in the UK with the spring equinox. And when we have an influx of light, what happens? The shadow increases. I'm just listening to a train go past my window. The shadow increases, the energy bounces off of each other. And that feels like a very practical way to see the collective vibration this week and be aware of what we are bouncing off of and why. So yesterday, obviously, with it being a turning of a seasonal wheel, I created Despacho, which is a sacred prayer basically in an envelope that is gifted to the gods, and I do so in sacred fire. When you do Despacho, you actually remove any hucha that is standing in the way of being in alignment with what it is you are praying for. And by doing so, you achieve right relation with yourself and what it is you are trying to create. So obviously doing Despacho is a beautiful, beautiful process, but if there is anywhere that you're not in alignment, you're going to feel it. So of course this morning, being on the Five of Wands as well and having the remnants of Despacho in my garden that needs to be gifted back to the earth, emphasis on that as well this week. Gifting back the hucha, gifting back the lower energies to the earth. The earth Pachamama feeds from this. She turns that into fertilizer, and we can get very caught up in it being negative energy and we don't want to give it to anyone or give it to the earth or whatever. That's our view of the energy, which feels very relevant as we go into the collective energies and individual energies this week. What is our view on what we're feeling? So this morning I was very undecided about doing a video because I could feel this Five of Wands, this Aggie type energy, and I believed, I needed to be in a certain place, in a certain high vibration in order to give any advice about anything or do anything. Going beyond that in my own meditation, going beyond my own judgments, really feeling into the emotion, the energy in motion within me. There was the other side of the Five of Wands, which is excitable energy. It's the potential of change. It is the coming together of all the five elements within us, and when we can step out of the way of how we should be, or the concerns of how we are perceived, or having to be a certain vibration first before we achieve anything, create anything, energy is energy at the end of the day, but we must be aware of our judgment, our impact, our influence on that energy, particularly this week. So what am I feeling? I'm feeling a urge for change. I'm feeling that pivotal moment where I'm unsure whether things will shift. I'm feeling frustration. I'm feeling exhaustion. I'm feeling, trying to create and initiate certain things that I seem to be hitting a brick wall with. And I need to feel that. I need to feel that in order to make space for maybe different resolutions and different aid to come in. If we don't feel our emotions, or if we feel them and we give them a name and want them to be a certain way, we are bypassing our own energy. There is no acceptance there. And this often comes from our judgments, shame, guilt, things like that. And when we bypass our emotions, I'm a great advocate of looking at the positive things in life, a great advocate. But we can only get there by feeling what isn't positive, by being aware of what isn't going on as well. You know, otherwise we get out of balance. We're totally just the light. Coming back to shadow work, there is a deeper, long-lasting, more sustainable light. I'm just looking at the top of the cards and it's 5 of Pentacles. Long-lasting, more sustainable, authentic, real light available if we can just dredge through the bits that are uncomfortable and find the answers that are actually hidden in there. So for me this morning, it is very much the ability to say I'm done. Very much the ability to say this isn't on, this isn't working, something needs to change here. It is the other side of me as a midwife that has gone from rubbing my own metaphorical back in labour to suggesting I put my chin down and bloody push and change the outcome. And I have reservations with that energy from my own upbringing, from my own values, from my own opinions, my own beliefs, and my own concerns that can come across as harsh or uncaring. When actually sometimes the most kindest thing we can do to ourselves in a situation is to see it for what it actually is. Just fallen off the desk. To see it for what it actually is. And what's actually just fallen off my desk is my inhalator, my nicotine inhalator, because I've given up smoking. But I'm weaning myself off slowly but surely. And, you know, what is it? It's an addiction. It's an addiction to being a certain way, which comes from not accepting who we are. And that really feels key this week. We're going to feel energy trying to move. We're going to feel energy trying to shift to help us change whatever situation we may be in. And it's very important to be grateful for what we have, but also very, very important to be aware of what we don't. How else are we going to ask for what we need if we're not aware of it, if we are holding back our desires? Now this morning I feel very drawn to work with the Light Seers Tarot because they're very human. They look like human characters, your everyday character. And I've also been drawn to work with the Angels of Atlantis Oracle cards. The reason being, I dreamt of Atlantis last night. I dreamt of water everywhere and Atlantean energy trying to come up from the earth. Now, Atlanteans saw energy, as a very powerful tool. It wasn't until they manipulated this awareness that things started to get out of hand, but they saw energy as a powerful tool of healing. And it was very element based, and provided those elements were in balance, we were well. Spiritually, emotionally, physically, intellectually, we were well. We were in alignment. We cannot be in balance if we do not acknowledge what is out of balance. Yeah, so for me, working with the wands, very much my fire energy is, it needs grounding. It needs something to put that energy into and to be allowed to move. So we can talk about creativity, writing, dancing. Sex is great for this energy, vision boards, all that sort of stuff. Holding space for the energy to be born, not just held within us. That's what takes it from potential to actual manifestation. But we cannot do that if we're trying to convert the energy into something that it isn't. We cannot do that if we're trying to hold that energy down. And where does that come from? Fear of our own connection to source, fear of our own connection to our emotions. What does that lead to? 9 times out of 10, addiction. So when our lymphatic system sparks up, when our creative system goes into awareness and wants to create certain things, it can feel as if it's a bit too much. to hold space for, because we're not always used to holding space for our emotions. Very much we are to be at peace with them, which I often see as people getting rid of them. Okay, to be at peace with something is to be at peace with it, to allow it to move, to allow it to do what it needs to do. Being aware, obviously, not to impact others with that energy, but how can we even do that if we're not aware of what we're feeling? So this week in particular, the Atlantean energy that seems to be coming up is a more denser, what we would perceive, a more denser energy, but in reality it's actually more solid and has great potential to build future aspects of our lives, but it is getting out of our own way in regards to how we perceive this vibration now, how we perceive the feminine. Because the other deck that I want to work with this morning is the Magdalene Oracle, and I wondered about this. I wondered about working with Mary Magdalene, but you know, historically, to be portrayed in a certain way because of her own Kundalini energy, her own fire, her own passion, her own femininity, her own sexuality, her own desires, to be portrayed in this way, it is something that still continues today, regardless of gender, regardless of what energy is you're emitting, whether it's anger, whether it's frustration, whether it's desire. The more fiery concept of us, I want to say a different word. I want to say the asp, you know, the snake. The more fiery, earth-based energy is always portrayed in a certain light, or rather darkness. So I really want to look at that this week in regards to the collective energy. So let's just have a drink. And we're going to start with the basics, which is us. Always starting with the basics. Where are we at? What are we feeling this week? What is occurring for us individually? Okay. And what I hear is, but I'm looking at the collective energy, how can that be individual? Because what makes the energy individual is what we choose to do with it. Okay? So these cards will be a constructive way to navigate the energies this week. I was going to say better, but even that has a judgment. A constructive way to navigate the energies this week. And when I do that, I can really feel the wisdom of the body. I can really feel ancestors as well, but also the wisdom of the body. And remembering the wisdom of the body, and that there is a need for it. There really, really is a need to remember the wisdom of our own senses and our own emotions. Now I see the Lover's card, and I see the snake, and I see the snake, you know, Adam and Eve and all that sort of stuff. I see the snake almost being our emotional intelligence, our Kundalini, our sexuality, our wisdom, you know, our innate knowing. And being raw and vulnerable with that this week. Being okay with it. Self-worth. Self-worth. If we're feeling that a situation isn't for us, or, you know, that we've done all that we can, or whatever. Okay. Self-worth. Having that self-worth. To accept a situation for what it is, and then decide whether it is enough to help us grow. How do we grow? We shed the past, the serpent energy. Okay, best way to navigate the energies this week. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, gosh, Thursday, Friday. Let's just move them along, and that feels like the emphasis, moving the energy along. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, overall. So at the bottom of the pack, we do have the Knight of Wands, and we do have that powerful fire energy coming in this week. Why? To teach us to beat our own drum, to find our own rhythm, to be who we are. I keep on saying that 2022 is the year to be you. Every year is the year to be you, every moment, but never have I felt it more relevant than this year in particular. You know, we can have a lot of judgments on who we are and who we would like to be, and have coming from this place of non-acceptance, it feels like the leftover aspect of the Virgo moon, that OCD, that need for perfection, and we can have a lot of judgments on that. But the moon is in Scorpio at the moment, I think, and there is that underlying hidden truths there that need to be felt. Have we molded? Have we become a rhythm that isn't us anymore? I'm really, really looking at that, because underneath that we have death and rebirth this week, which is that Scorpio moon at the moment. Yeah, really. And the devil underneath that, you know. I mean, we can look at what's underneath everything this week, or we can actually put an end to it. We can keep digging, we can keep looking at why we do things the way we do, and we can keep examining, you know, oh, it's come from this and it's come from this, or we can actually just decide that it is because we haven't been ourselves, and be okay with that. We haven't accepted ourselves. Until we accept ourselves, we cannot accept others where they're at. We cannot meet the collective where it is at until we meet ourselves where we are at. And that's the overlying theme this week in the Two of Cups, that union here, okay, with ourselves, with each other, that being in right relations with everything that it is we are trying to bring in and everything that is being asked of us. So we can have judgments on who we are, but we are exactly what is needed at any given time. You know, I've just had a nephew born into the family, and I've just done his birth chart, and it's just incredible to see how planets align when we're born, and to see what it is they have actually, in their external environment, created for us, the path should we choose to follow it. And it's always a choice, it's always a choice. But we're going to feel it this week when we're not in alignment. We're going to feel it, and it's going to be quick and it's going to be swift. Very, I'm going to say it, uncomfortable energy if we're not. And I'm going to say it, brave enough to hold space for what needs to be brought to light right now. So today we have the Eight of Wands, and I can personally really, really feel that need to master now our elemental energy. That need to master and hold space, that fire, that desire, that growth that is yearning to be born within us all. And on the Tuesday, I mean, obviously when we do that, when we're in alignment, I'm getting that I'm preaching to the converted. We know this. When we're in alignment, things happen. We know, it's one thing to know, but it's another to embody. And then I hear, no, it isn't. Awareness is key, and then acceptance. Allowing that to come down through us. I'm not happy with X, Y, and Z. I can feel that. I accept that. Letting this truth come in now. On the Tuesday we have the Fool. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful card here. A real opportunity. I'm trying to... Yeah, it's the 22nd, isn't it? 22nd. So a real opportunity here of a rebirth of the feminine. Okay. Is there anything else? I almost feel a blank with that card. Like, is there anything else? Why am I using the word rebirth? Is it a rebirth? Tuesday, let go of the questions. Definitely let go of the questions Tuesday, and really see that energy as new. Really be curious with our own emotions. What am I actually feeling here? You know, what gift can be here if I allow myself to feel this? So the other day I really felt a rage out of nowhere. I would call it a rage because we have labels for our emotions, and if I had to call it anything, I would have called it a rage. And rather than hold it down or try to understand it, I observed it. I watched it. I let it go around my body like little elements of fire. And at the time I was watching my own fire and seeing how it just burnt through all the debris, and I just allowed this energy to do that. And it was one of the most incredible healings I've ever felt. And we can get very caught up in energy needing to be a certain vibration in order to heal, but actually all energy is valuable. All aspects of the light are valuable. It's up to us to use it. It's up to us to direct it. It's up to us to be responsible. Okay, and that doesn't always mean shutting off what we're feeling. Most certainly doesn't mean attacking others because of it. But the truth of the matter is, we are more likely to infringe our emotions onto others when we haven't allowed ourselves to feel it. When we hold back what we're feeling, we're more likely to react, because it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And that's definitely potential this week. So just being aware of that. Or not, because on the Wednesday we have the Queen of Swords. You know, when emotions get a bit much, sometimes detachment can be really, really helpful, provided it's detachment and observation, not detachment from what is actually there. Yeah, we don't want to, on this card here, she has her heart locked away. Do we really want to imprison our own heart? Do we really want to lock away our own feelings? Is that observation? Is that witnessing? Or is that detachment? And Wednesday, there's a fine line between that. And again, we are talking the feminine. She's the queen. There's a fine line between being detached and observation. And there's a real potential to hone that skill this week. How? By standing in our own vibration, which we cannot do if we don't allow ourselves to feel, or we judge what we feel. The moment we judge what we feel, we're not allowing it to be felt in its pure, unadulterated, full-like form. On the Thursday, we have the Nine of Pentacles. We have a real opportunity here of growth, physical growth here. Now, you can say that could be money or what it is you've been asking to manifest, because we have a cauldron here with coins in as well. So whatever it is, or a fire pit. I see a fire pit, which is nice. Nice confirmation for myself individually there. But growth, regardless, physical growth, that can be home, that can be diet, that can be money, job, whatever it is we have been asking for. There does feel like there needs to be clarity in what it is we are asking for, which again can only come by feeling into our emotions and what we might need, with no judgment there. Okay, so real opportunity for physical growth. Physical growth comes from the ability to hold our emotions, to witness our emotions, to flow with who we are, to grow. Okay, so when we look at emotions, I'm just going to have a quick drink. So the energy today is coming through very fast, okay, and being aware of that, taking time to look at our emotions for the garden that they are. Okay, so when we observe our thoughts, when we observe our feelings, when we observe our ambition, our desire, we can also observe the physical impact that that has on our body. Okay, so if we are feeling, oh, this isn't happening, da 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 da, how balanced are we emotionally? That is emotional intelligence. What is the impact? What's going on up here? What's going on in our body? Are we drinking enough water? Are we eating well? Are we getting out in nature? Nature is fantastic for conflict of our own emotions. When we look outside, a plant, in order to grow, has sunlight, fire, has rain, water, has solid soil, physical body, has air to fertilize those seeds elsewhere, our thoughts. On the Thursday, well, all week, but on the Thursday in particular, really seeing our thoughts for the wind that they are, really seeing our physical body for the solid foundation that it needs to be, which means feeling the emotions, really seeing our feelings as an opportunity to water, what it is we are trying to grow. And the same with our ambitions, an opportunity to shed light on what growth is occurring and what needs to change or not to continue that evolution. Emotional intelligence is the next step of our evolution. It is befriending our emotions now for the magic that they are, for the information that they are, for the connection to source that they actually are. In order to avoid Friday, the dry, barren landscape of the Five of Pentacles. Okay, so in order to avoid this, nothing is changing, there's nothing I can do about it, in order to avoid all of this, it's recognizing that the emotions are actually the key to our own freedom here. Okay, the fifth element, the fifth element. So I did pick 2 cards for this Friday, and I'm going to include them again on the Friday. So we have the Nine of Swords as well, with the Five of Pentacles here, and really, really coming to that end point, that transition point of our views and thoughts about our emotions, our views and thoughts about our own physical growth, about everything, basically, our views and thoughts around who we are. Thank you. Who we are. If we could only see ourselves through the eyes of the Mother or the Divine Father, gosh, it would just be incredible. And on the Saturday we have the Page of Cups. So we do have that potential to see that, but a desperate need for grounding as well. When we start to see things for the divine that they are, we can almost feel as if it's unobtainable, feel as if pigs might fly. You can see this pig up here, pigs might fly. And yeah, okay, so let that happen. Let the emotions take you on this journey. Here you can see they're almost splitting this individual in half. Let the emotions take you on this journey and allow it to break through what was, and let that go and bring in what could be on the Saturday. On the Sunday, but it was also a card that I picked almost like an extra card, an extra energy to look out for. We do have that Five of Swords. We do have that nagging energy. Now, this is the Crow. The Virgo moon just gone was called the Crow moon as well. And it's that nagging need for perfection here, that nagging need to be a certain way, to fit in, to be spiritual, at peace, look a certain way, act a certain way. What we do with our own journey is entirely up to us, and there's no judgment there on my part. I do relate how hard it can feel when we don't quite fit in, or that there almost isn't a place for what we bring or whatever. I can relate to that. However, if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, this week it's really time to look at why it doesn't work, what it is you want, whether or not that is possible, how to achieve that, all by accepting the sheer fact that it doesn't work and being okay with that. Okay, so quick debrief, which feels quite relevant as well, to debrief this week every evening, every time something happens, every time we feel something. Debrief. What is it I am feeling here? Yeah, really go beyond the labels, beyond any story, beyond any of it, and feel it. Feel it for what it is, not thinking what it is, not, attaching old things to it, just feeling it and allowing it to move and flow around us. I can see the Taurus energy, Okay, so we have two major arcanas, Death and Rebirth, and the Fool. Double whammy of ending how things were by seeing how they are and by being open to how they could be. We then have 2 cup cards, the Two of Cups and the Page of Cups, recognizing our place in the universe with awe through the eyes of the divine, and really, really connecting to that on all levels, even the nitty gritty, dirty, horrible bits that we might not like. Really, really seeing that as part of divine energy this week. That's going to cause some knee-jerk reactions. I can feel it. Oh, how can you call this divine? How can you call that divine? You'll only ever recognize it from the level of your own divinity, and that's okay. That's, you know, it's a work in progress, it's a love in progress, it's an opportunity to grow in how you see the divine. And the more, you know, we talk about gratitude and being grateful for what we have, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I do see a lot of people bypassing, well, at least I'm not as bad as X, Y, and Z. Okay, and at least I have this, this, and this. Okay, but also taking that gratitude and applying it to what you don't have. So really feeling into your emotions as a divine messenger of where you are giving an opportunity to grow and being grateful for that. Oh, I feel so angry and frustrated. Oh, that's really good, because it means I'm not happy where I am and I have an opportunity to change that. I'm so grateful. Okay. And yes, we can only ever do that from the level of gratitude that we have for ourselves. So we then have two pentacle cards. So beautiful balance so far with the major arcana, the cups and the pentacles. Two pentacle cards, the 9 of pentacles and the 5 of pentacles. And it is about reaching up now, reaching up with our emotions as well, and seeing that mentality for the gift that it can bring, seeing those feelings for the gift that they can bring with our own physical growth now. And then swords. Yes, we have quite a few swords this week. It does feel like a bit of a mental week. We have 1, 2, 3 swords. So there is potential of growth there. However, we do have 3 swords, which is the separation. Growth doesn't come from separating who we are. It comes from bringing all aspects together. So when we do shadow work, yes, we can see the light, we can see the darkness, we can see the light in the darkness. But when we walk the medicine wheel and get to the west, we bring all that back. Okay, we bring it back to a place of acceptance. Rather than pick, trying to change, trying to fix. Gain the lessons, gain the insights, bring them home as part of who you are this week. Is there anything else on the thought front? So I want to see if there's anything else on the thought front, and it feels almost like the addiction to find more, to figure out more, to learn more. And there is an opportunity of that. I can really feel from the Atlantean energy an opportunity to evolve in our knowing, but that can only come from emotional understanding. It can only come, you know, connecting to source, connecting to spirit, connecting to guides, absolutely beautiful, but it will only reach a certain level until we are ready emotionally and physically to take it to the next stage. How do we do that? The 8 of Wands and the Knight of Wands. We align with our own rhythm. We recognise that we are part of that communication too. Okay, so I almost feel like I want to take time to pick up the cards that I've been dealt, to really, or that have been dealt, to really look at them and stack them back from the place that they came from with gratitude. So thank you for the insights and the guidance, and handing it back. Okay. Angels of Atlantis Oracle cards by Stuart Pearce and Richard Crooks. I don't know if you can see those. These were a birthday present, and I haven't actually really used them, to be fair. So okay, yeah, I will mention that. In Atlantean times, the angels would actually walk side by side, and they do now, but they would physically walk side by side in an equal relationship with us. And yes, energetically for many of us they do now. Those, when I talk about angels, I'm talking about higher vibrations, and for those of a more scientific mind, I'm talking about the potential blueprint of everything. And for those more spiritual, I am talking angelic presence. Whatever works for you feels like key in your own understanding here. What matters is they were equal. They walked side by side and we worked together. We worked together. That higher vibration and the more dense physical vibration of the human self worked together. Just like the sun and the earth, just like the sun and the moon, just like equinox, the feminine and the masculine work together. They work together. But if we avoid the emotions, the feminine, if we downplay or reject or suppress our own feminine, the masculine can only go so far. Yeah, it can only do so much. You know, if we're constantly, I'm fine, I'm at peace, I'm fine, that's not to say that we're not. But the masculine, the spirit, the light will say, okay, we're fine. Okay, so just being honest with ourselves this week. And that, I almost feel, brings it could be the cards I'm working with as well, but brings a beautiful closure, a beautiful relaxing energy. I can still feel the fire, the heart pounding. Or yeah, it almost feels post orgasmic type energy, and that's what we're trying to achieve here. That's where that huge release of oxytocin comes in and helps what we are trying to create. We feel the build up of the passion, and then we surrender to it. We allow it to flow, and then that beautiful release comes. Okay. And the healing and the deliverance. So we have Zafkiel, ecstasy this week. Really, really, really feeling into the power of union now. The ultimate aim of uniting our masculine and feminine is ecstasy. Okay, so this card, I think that might be Mary Magdalene on the card, but I'll have a look in a moment in the book. And the card next to it, we have Raphael, cleansing. So what happens when we allow this build up of energy and then release to it? We have a huge cleansing. And underneath we have Metatron, which is divine intelligence. It's that emotional intelligence that I'm talking about. It's that if we want to take our spiritual awareness higher now, we must recognize that the physical body is part of that. The physical body is the tool to interpret the divine intelligence. The physical emotions are a way of Source expressing itself through us. It's creation at its finest. And underneath we have Zafkiel again with romance. Okay, I'm going to put them together. Romance and ecstasy. Falling in love with our emotions, falling in love with what we feel, falling back in love with our passions and our desires, rather than overthinking them this week. So let's have a little look. What do we have here? Now, as I say, I haven't used these before. Beautiful colours, oranges and greens. Just, yeah, absolute beautiful orange and green here. So really creating from the heart, which can only happen if we feel with the heart. Okay, Metatron, divine intelligence. As a conduit of the divine, Metatron is speaking to you through your thoughts and feelings. This card allows you to notice and to follow your instinct and inspiration. By drawing this oracle, you are bestowed with the powerful presence of this teacher angel, because you are a wonderful human being who can receive the frequency of this call. Now, that's a forgetfulness on my part, actually. I forget that Metatron is very fiery energy when he comes through for me, so I didn't click to that this morning. Once you are... Yeah, we've done that. All geniuses arise from the source, and in this moment you are receiving holy manna, because your soul is a temple for the divine. Therefore you may dispense the glory of the divine through each of your creations. Please rest in silence as you receive Metatron's teachings. Yeah, just a real emotional download this week. Okay. Raphael, the holy healer, cleansing, water and fire. are the forces brought by the oracle to draw you into the harmony that Raphael wishes for you. Perhaps you have recently experienced situations that evolved beyond their creative potential and now need purifying. If so, use these strong elemental forces to cleanse them by drenching the substance in water or by burning the idea in fire. Both measures literally release the energy to the elements, thus transforming them from negative into positive. We need these initiatory forces when we move from one important condition to another, as we see in the credentials that use fire and water joining together in faith. Chant He to provide mental clarity. So this one comes with guidance actually, that this week, if the mind is too much, it's H-E-E, so it's He. It reminds me of the breathing exercise when you're in labour. And it does feel like that, a real transition, almost like a crowning, that, oh, I can't go on, I can't do this anymore. Just that breathing through it. Gosh, some things they get me to do. Panting on the internet. Okay, and then we have Zadkiel. Not Zadkiel, Zadkiel. Okay, so ecstasy. Zadkiel wishes you to know that divine ecstasy may come in any moment as a deep feeling of passion for your spiritual growth or an aspect of your love, whereby your whole being is transfixed with the choice that you have made to join the mystical pathway. And that could be what some of us are feeling this week. We may call it frustration or anger or rage, but it could actually be ecstasy, a union of our own emotions with that of Source. As you experience this heightened state, the two gatekeepers on this path are awe and joy, so that Fool card, both of which are closely aligned to ecstasy. As you experience this heightened state, be aware of the whispers of the angels. As you see in the oracle, angels use this high frequency opportunity to impact sacred loving information to us about our journey. So very much this morning, much as I may not have liked the feeling of frustration or whatever that was going on for me, it was true. It was true where I was at. And it was a deep communication with, if I wanted this ecstasy now, then I needed to see the frustration and joy and awe as an opportunity to expand beyond where I currently am. They give our higher self information about a choice we need to make, or how to open vistas of consciousness about our ethical existence. Trust the angels, for they will always have your heartfelt interest in your hearts. Chant Ha in the heart chakra to open this channel of light-filled inspiration from the angelic realm. So two chants there, He and Ha. He ha, he ha, he. Sounds like laughter, just laughter this week, most definitely. And then finally we have romance. Zadkiel is aware of the yearnings that currently exude from your heart and intuitively receives the strong desire in your emotional body for the joy of romance, whether this be in new love or an existing relationship. And remember, that can be the relationship with yourself as well. This stirring is often and to the earth. I hear and to the earth and to your dreams. Yeah, are you still in love with your dreams? Are you still burning a flame for those ambitions? Or is there a need to look at how well we are nurturing that relationship, that alignment within us? That could be the emotions that we're feeling. This stirring is often related to the fact that an ideal of love has not been experienced for some time. So for some people out there that have really struggled to bring forth what it is they're trying to create, it can have a dampening effect on the feelings we have for what we're trying to create. You know, when we want peace in the world and we see war all the time, it can be very hard to keep that flame alight when we want our soulmate or twin flame or that relationship that's going to help us move forward, and we're not receiving that, or believe we're not receiving that, have a judgment on how we want that to be. It can be very hard then to keep that desire going. And that's where the emotional frustration comes from, an opportunity to cleanse through anything that is stopping our own alignment and flow. Right relations. Explore this notion, truly identifying what that could be. The angels are returning you to a higher vibration of love, so don't cling tightly to the idea of love from your past, and be prepared to embark on a new way of loving. This is a time of wondrous change in your loving prosperities. Trust that Zadkiel will work this out for the highest good. Chant He again, in your 8th chakra to stimulate the opening of your universal heart chakra. This will allow your force to envelope all aspects of your ideal love in service of the unified field of light. For all, we are interconnected. So that he, ha, yeah, it almost feels like a seesaw, like an up, down, up, down. But when this week can and does hold the potential for a lot of ups and downs, you know, being aware of our thoughts, being aware of our mind. Okay, so let's lighten it up. Let's have a bit of Mary Magdalene. And I find it very interesting that when I mention lightening it up, it is when I'm talking about the angelic realm, and in order to do so, I'm mentioning Mary Magdalene, which is the physical, the physical consort of Jesus, of the light, the feminine. Allowing the feminine to lighten up the masculine this week. Interesting. Okay, so Mary Magdalene, one card. I really feel the need to recognize the womb and desires as a very sacred place, as a very, you know, throughout the eras, there has been a lot of emphasis on what we want, a lot of manipulation into believing this is what we want. And we inherit all these beliefs and all these judgments and all these prejudice, and we have our own as well. But really feeling into what it is we desire this week and recognizing just how sacred that is. Okay, one card, Mary. I can feel it pulsing through my heart, almost like it's going to pop my heart open. Intimacy and surrender. These cards are just divine. Intimacy and surrender. And the card underneath, the universal Christ. So obviously when we think of Christ, we do think of Christ, of the masculine. However, remember, the feminine holds space for the masculine. The feminine takes the masculine within her. Okay, so our actions always affect our emotions, and holding space for that, surrendering to the opportunity of intimacy that is there. Into me I see this week. Really, really allowing our emotions to give us that inner sight into where we are, who we are. So the Five of Wands is a Leo card. Yeah, I am a Leo person, and much as I may feel uncomfortable with that raw energy, it is part of my passion. It is part of who I am. And this week in particular, if we can surrender to that, if we can surrender to these opportunities to see within ourselves, we come face to face with our own universal Christ, our own light, and we align with our masculine then in ecstasy, and able to then create with that sacred union. So 47 minutes. Surrender. At present, it seems that the harder you try, the more the things you want elude you. I can so relate to that. Okay, there's not much you can do at the moment except wait. Surrender your expectations and be patient. In time, you will get what you want, though this may not come in the form or way you expected. In the meantime, remember that you cannot control how others view things or what they think, say, or do. In time, you will come to realize that the current events are a blessing. You will emerge from this period of your life with a newfound sense of clarity, which will enable you to move forward in life with confidence. The emotional ups and downs you are currently experiencing will soon stabilise. I could feel my voice changing when I stepped into that surrender energy. There was a real calmness and a real self-worth vibration coming in, knowing that I wasn't waiting because I'm waiting, I have to wait again. I was waiting because I deserved what was coming. I was waiting because I deserved the patience that it would take for things to be just as I actually needed. And that's what we do when we wait. Sometimes it can get so frustrating because it's like, I've waited forever, did it? Well, Are we worth waiting for? What we're trying to achieve, is it worth waiting for? And that's where we come down to the intimacy, the seeing whether or not our self-worth aligns with what we are desiring. So you may have been emotionally hurt in the past, and as a result you are now reluctant to share your feelings with others because you fear being hurt again. It is understandable that you have placed a protective shield around your heart. However, it's now time to drop the armour, because at present it is preventing a worthwhile relationship from forming. There is someone who dearly loves you, and the love this person has for you is real. My whole room has just gone very cold. However, he or she is afraid to reveal their true feelings for fear of rejection. Remember, most things that are mirrored to us are, one, a mirror of us, but also where that person may be at as well. So if we're not open to our emotions and our feelings and our fears, how can we expect anyone else to be? Trust and share your feelings and experiences open and honestly. You'll be amazed at what unfolds. The most intimate relationships are usually formed through tears and laughter. Hee-ha, hee-ha, hee-ha. Through tears and laughter. So don't be afraid to express your feelings, fears and vulnerabilities. The past is now behind you. Release it and embrace the new. And then finally, nice card to end on, Universal Christ. Oh, these are from Tony Carmine Salerno. Just thought I needed to say that for some reason. So why did I need to say that when I saw it? Okay, so let's look at Tony. Artist, best-selling author with a niche following. That feels quite pertinent this week, to recognise that you may not be everyone's cup of tea, but that there is a niche for us all. His work transcends cultures and borders. He explores universal and timeless themes such as spirituality, healing, philosophy and love, collected from people all around the globe. Emanates a healing energy that connects us to our spiritual self. His work continues to quietly illuminate hearts and the minds around the globe. How beautiful. His work continues to quietly illuminate hearts and the minds around the globe. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. When we sit with our emotions, when we hold space for what it is we're feeling, there doesn't need to be a big song and dance. So this morning I was worried about coming on because I could feel this fire, and I just thought I don't want it to be a big rant because that's what I was feeling. But actually, when we can really feel into what is ours and acknowledge that the information available can be, quietly expandable. So Universal Christ, the emptiness you feel presently is helping you reconnect to aspects of your nature that you have kept repressed for some time. Let go of all the distractions that surround you at present and bring your awareness within. In the empty spaces of your solitude, you will find a hidden treasure. This is a period of profound self-discovery. You need only listen to the whispers inside your heart. Ask yourself what it is you truly want from life. And remember that when it comes to matters of the heart, there is no right or wrong. I need to say that again. When it comes to matters of the heart, there is no right or wrong. Every choice you make leads to an outcome which is necessary for you to grow in love and wisdom. You will emerge from this phase with a clearer direction for your life. As a result of this, some of your relationships are likely to go through major changes. Relationships that no longer serve you may come to an end, while others become stronger and more meaningful. Trust the inner guidance you receive. And for a lot of us, that can be one of the biggest fears, that we don't want to lose our relationships. We don't want to lose those that are dear to us. We want to fit in. We want to belong. And ultimately, we can only ever belong to ourselves. Ultimately, it is the relationship that lasts a lifetime, and ultimately this week, it is the one that is going to come under the spotlight. Take care. Have a wonderful week, and be you. Be you for all of what you are. Take care.